Welcome to the mother relay. We're covering today's top boxing news.
Who do you want next?
Terry Harper.
Definitely.
100%. It's a British fight, domestic unification, world titles on the line. It's going down at the Royal Albert Hall, man. I don't see how it gets any bigger than that.
Terry Harper caught wind of Caroline Dubois' post-fight call-out and responded by saying, "Do you have a tracking number for this offer, as it seems to have gotten lost in the post? I think it's going to cost Boxer a pretty penny to get Terry Harper to cross over from Matchroom over to Boxer, where this fight would presumably take place, to afford Caroline that opportunity, because it is an opportunity for Caroline to cross over to the next level, the next stratosphere, by taking on one of the more familiar names at this weight. I rank Terry Harper, I rate her, but I've no illusions about what happens if her and Caroline do fight. I do think Caroline stops her. It's a risky fight. Terry's a lot more experienced across more weight classes over a longer duration of time than Caroline Dubois, but in spite of all of that, if you put those two fighters in a ring, Caroline steamrolls her. So for getting steamrolled by Caroline, on the Boxer side of things, you could get steamrolled by Beatrice Ferreira on your own. Or you can skip the both of them and make a voluntary defense of your newly obtained WBO title. Do that. I took in Caroline Dubois' last fight with Jessica Camara that resulted in a technical draw due to a clash of heads that opened up a cut, and the fight being stopped on cuts in under 4 rounds. It played out as I predicted. Caroline's too fast, too strong, too much for Jessica Camara, and Jessica was lucky to get away with that decision, with that draw, which allowed her to stay WBA Gold Champion a while longer. The WBA title, the full one, is registered as vacant. That's the version of the title that Katie Taylor used to hold. Jessica Camara holds a lesser version of that title, the gold title. Now that title being vacant means that Katie's officially done at 135 pounds. That goes without saying, but it also opens up a lot of doors, a lot of possibilities. Stephanie Hahn has a fight coming up, and it's conceivable that that fight could be for that newly vacated WBA title. It could be, or it could be that Stephanie, if she wins, may have to face Jessica Camara for that newly vacated WBA title. Could break down that way. Or, if the people at Matchroom act fast, they can pick a girl in the WBA's rank standings to put in the ring with Terry Harper and have them fight for that newly vacated WBA title, say Delar Kasikio or Taylor Jensen, Becky Bass, former champion Hyun-Mi Choi. The WBA have a sort of first-come, first-served policy in these situations, and because Terry is already a distinguished champion, albeit with another organization, and because she does have some money behind her, maybe it's an opportunity that the WBA affords her. That's another way it could break down. I am curious who the next WBA champion at this weight is going to be, because depending on who and when that champion is crowned, that might be somebody that Terry Harper pursues. That might be somebody that she can fight in what is a more winnable fight than a Caroline Dubois fight or a Beatrice Ferreira fight, whoever ends up being WBA champion. Maybe it'll be Jessica Camara, full champion, or maybe it'll be Stephanie Hahn. Terry stands a way better chance of beating them than beating Caroline or beating Beatrice. That's just reality. I'm a fan of Terry Harper. I have been for years, even before she signed to Matchroom, but I wouldn't be of much use to anyone if I forecasted outcomes based on my own fandom or personal preferences. It's a very dangerous time for Terry to have a title at 135 pounds. She has to tread carefully. So if a new WBA champion is crowned in the not-so-distant future, maybe she should see about fighting them. Just an idea, just a suggestion. Men's super lightweight news. Ahead of his very first world title fight, unbeaten up-and-comer Keyshawn Davis seems to be already eyeing his departure from the lightweight division. He's eyeing a move to welterweight, saying, "I've got the size and strength." Think he's starting to get tight at the weight? Keyshawn Davis says he's ready to fight at welterweight, but still has some goals to achieve at lightweight. Davis will face Denis Berinchyk for the WBO title next. It is his first world title opportunity as he seeks to extend his record to 13-0. He enters the fight with a second-round knockout win over Gustavo Lemos. In his post-fight comments, he called out Gervonta Davis.
We all know that's not gonna happen.
Gervonta holds the WBA lightweight title, but Gervonta will fight Lamont Roach on March 1st next, ruling out that fight.
Like it was ever gonna happen.
Keyshawn says his goal is to unify, meaning Tank is likely to be a target. Keyshawn has ruled out a fight with the WBC champion Shakur Stevenson as they are close friends. He has also ruled out a fight with Andy Cruz. The latter has beaten Keyshawn Davis numerous times in the amateurs, but he is not well known in the pro ranks, making it a risky fight. Cruz also does not offer Keyshawn any belts, meaning that there is no incentive to face him. Keyshawn revealed that he currently weighs 144 pounds, meaning he is even bigger than a junior welterweight. He has big fights at 140 and 147. Could fight big names such as Devin Haney, Teofimo Lopez, and Ryan Garcia. At 147, he has the opportunity to face Jaron Ennis, Mario Barrios, Eamon Stanionis,
Brian Norman.
but listen, unless he's about to jump up to welterweight right now, it's conceivable that by the time he gets there, the landscape could be completely different. So I wouldn't get attached to Keyshawn versus those names. I don't have to stay at 135. I'm bigger than Shakur. Shakur probably peaks at 135. My peak is 147. This is just the beginning. 135 is just the beginning. There are all types of fights out there. I don't have to fight Shakur, but I would love to unify after I beat Berenchik with one of those champions. We'll see. I want to fight. I'm the young gunner. I want to fight everybody, except Andy Cruz. After I get my belt, of course. I want to unify with one of those champions, except for Stevenson. I'm not going to be at 135 for too much longer. As long as I want to be here, I weigh 144 right now. I'm really a 140-pounder, for real. But I've got the size and strength to do that. I can go to 147 right now.
So he says he wants to unify after the Berenchik fight, but he doesn't want to fight Shakur, so that rules him out. He would be willing to fight Gervonta, but Gervonta wouldn't be willing to fight him.
So that rules him out, leaving Keyshawn Davis with but one option for a unification match. Either Vasyl Lomachenko or the winner of Abdullayev versus Muratalla. The winner of that fight is set to become Loma's mandatory challenger. If Vasyl Lomachenko retires, the winner of that fight, whoever it is, gets elevated to full champion. That is someone that Keyshawn can target, the winner of Abdullayev versus Muratalla.
But what if Loma doesn't retire?
That would make things complicated, because then the question is, do you think that Loma, at his age, is going to want to fight somebody like Keyshawn Davis? Is he going to want to do that? This is where moving up in weight becomes a solution. This is where moving up in weight might be a good idea for Keyshawn, to move up to 140.
Different crop of champions up there. Maybe you'll have more luck with them.
Richardson Hitchens has the IBF, Teofimo Lopez has the WBO, Rayo has the WBA, and Alberto Puello has the WBC. And always remember, the titles could change hands in between now and the time that Keyshawn moves up.
But it is a solution. You don't want to fight with Shakur, you're not going to have any luck with Gervonta, and if Lomachenko sticks around, you might not have any luck with him either.
Too many of the guys holding belts at 140 pounds, at least right now, they're finesse fighters. That's what Alberto Puello is, that's what Richardson Hitchens is.
Tio's not a finesse fighter, but he is a pain in the ass, and I don't know how much longer he's going to be there.
Keyshawn Davis would be a welcome addition to the 140-pound division that needs some excitement, it needs some action, and some action fighters, and that's what Keyshawn Davis is. He's an action fighter.
So I don't mind the idea that his stay in the lightweight division might be a short one, and he may move up to 140 in the not-so-distant future. I don't mind that idea.
There are a lot of moving parts up there right now. There's a lot going on. Jack Catterall is about to fight Arnold Barboza for WBO interim status in order to become Teofimo's mandatory challenger. That's going on.
Subriel Matias and Gabriel Valenzuela have been ordered by the IBF
to face each other in order to crown Richardson Hitchens as next mandatory challenger.
This is what I meant when I said that the belts could end up changing hands in between now and the time that Keyshawn moves up. He may be dealing with a different crop of champions than the guys that are champions now.
But it's all very interesting. Keyshawn could be coming into a very different super lightweight division than what it is right now.
I hope he's ready.
Don't put the cart before the horse. He's got to make it past Dennis Berenchik first at 135 for his belt. Then we'll see what happens after that. And finally, in men's welterweight news, Ryan Garcia and Devin Haney are on the brink of a deal for a trilogy series, which we talked about several times here on the channel, that should Devin Haney win the rematch, there is a legitimate precedent for a third fight. All it will take is an exchange, their own special versions of an apology and forgiveness for Ryan Garcia and Devin Haney to be on their way towards a potential trilogy. According to two sources close to the situation who spoke to Boxing Scene on Wednesday, Garcia and Haney are on the brink of setting aside 9 months of acrimony over their controversial April 20th fight, plagued by Garcia's positive drug test results, to strike a deal for a planned 3-fight series. The fighters have already signed off on a non-binding memo of deal points crafted by Saudi Arabia's events company, Sela. The top priority to move things forward now is for Garcia to enroll in a more than year-long comprehensive drug testing program supervised by an agency he has often criticized, the Nevada-based Voluntary Anti-Doping Association. Believing that Garcia will do so, Haney had his attorney move Wednesday to put a 90-day hold on Haney's multi-million-dollar lawsuit against Garcia that alleged battery, among other claims connected to the dispute over their prior bout. Should things move forward swimmingly, no guarantee of that, given the multitude of dramatic events around their first fight, Haney would drop his lawsuit entirely, and the fighters will sign a fully binding, long-form agreement, one official explained. After weekend visits to London with Saudi Arabian power broker Turki El Sheikh, Garcia, 24-1, and two-division champion Devin Haney, 31-0, verbally agreed to the steps that will lead to a planned rematch in October and even a trilogy bout next February, both in Saudi, according to boxing officials briefed on the schedule. Considering the stringent drug testing, the volatility during the first fight, and the outcomes of these future bouts, one individual connected to the negotiations said these suggested plans qualify as a crapshoot to become reality. There's substantial risk, said one of the officials, who spoke to Boxing Scene, but nothing ventured, nothing gained. Whetting the appetite for the rematch, Garcia and Haney are also pegged to fight in separate bouts on the same card in early May. One proposal is to stage the May event as a spectacular outdoor card of fights in New York's Times Square, said an official who was told of the plans. Whether that can happen or not is uncertain. The Saudis originally sought to stage their debut August 3rd at the historic Los Angeles Memorial Coliseum before recalculating and hosting it at the next door BMO Stadium, home of the LAFC soccer team. The Saudis and the Haney camp on Wednesday were waiting for confirmation that Garcia has enrolled in VADA. He'll also need to submit a negative test to the New York State Athletic Commission to be cleared to fight again. The bout sheet memo stipulates that the weight limit for the Garcia versus Haney rematch
And trilogy
will be 147 pounds with no morning weigh-in requirement, according to an official who reviewed it. The former amateur rivals met April 20th at the Barclays Center in Brooklyn, New York, when Garcia surprisingly rallied from his highly erratic fight camp behavior and missing weight by more than 3 pounds to knock down Haney 3 times and score a majority decision triumph. The New York State Athletic Commission later tossed out the victory, dismissing it as a no contest after Garcia submitted 3 positive tests, 2 to VADA and 1 to the New York State Athletic Commission for the banned performance-enhancing drug Osterin.
For all those people trying to make Ryan's doping situation VADA's fault, there it is in plain English. He didn't just test positive by way of VADA. The New York State Athletic Commission test, that one came back positive too.
So it appeared that ego might get in the way of the rematch. When both attended Al Sheikh's Ring Magazine event, they were informed of his plans to stage these lucrative bouts. We had great conversations in London with Al Sheikh and Dr. Rakan, Garcia advisor Guadalupe Valencia told Boxing Scene on Tuesday.
I thought Ryan Garcia got rid of Lupe Valencia.
Apparently not. Ryan is very excited to get back in the ring, said Lupe. He is motivated and doing very well. VADA, according to individuals close to the situation, originally requested that Garcia write a letter of apology to the organization for his caustic comments against the Las Vegas-based organization headed by the International Boxing Hall of Fame member Margaret Goodman.
In the effort to clear his own name and appear innocent before the eyes of the boxing community, he's basically dragged VADA's name in the mud, trying to implicate them.
By signing up for VADA's stringent testing, Garcia effectively does more than apologize by endorsing the testing body that is strongly backed by Al-Sheikh, who has employed VADA for several of his events, including his stacked February 22nd card in Saudi. Al-Sheikh will bankroll VADA's testing of Garcia and Haney, two officials told Boxing Scene. That means the testing fees won't come out of their purses. Turkey's paying for them.
Even so, Ryan Garcia has made it clear that's not what he originally wanted, but to get at that Saudi bag, he's got to play ball.
The repercussions for not following VADA mandates or criticizing the organization will be severe, including having the fight called off, an official said. Earlier this month, Haney became the first fighter to enroll in VADA's 24/7, 365 drug testing plan. Garcia has professed to being a clean fighter despite the positives, and by remaining clean throughout this plant series, he will have the stamp of VADA clearance as he aims to repeat his in-the-ring triumph. Haney, according to an individual close to him, has found contentment in the fact that the money he'll earn for these bouts is far and away over what he would collect in the lawsuit. The testing requirements should ensure now we're going to see who the real fighter is, said an official familiar with the arrangement who was not authorized to speak publicly on the matter.
They're on an even playing field now, and it is no longer a Golden Boy promotion show like the first one was.
Garcia has repeated often from the night of the fight that Haney had no answer for his crushing left hook, which immediately rocked Haney in the first round and led to knockdowns in the 7th, 10th, and 11th rounds. Haney has countered by saying he was beaten by a cheating fighter. He felt Garcia coming in overweight in April was another advantage, as then WBC 140-pound champion Haney strenuously depleted his body to defend his belt. Haney is said to view the 147-pound weight limit for the October rematch as a positive, providing him the comfort to avoid a grueling weight cut and the ability to rehydrate towards a similar fight weight as the taller Garcia. The fighter's May opponents are not yet set, but Haney is not interested in selecting a pushover, and as former unified 140-pound champion Jose Ramirez on his list of potential foes for May. The takeaway from all of this,
What stands out to me is that Garcia's got to play ball.
he spent all that time dragging their name in the mud to damage their reputation, to make his situation their fault, just to end up having to use them anyway, after saying that he wouldn't. What could be this trilogy with Devin Haney, provided that Devin and Ryan make it through their fights in May and square off against each other later on this year.
If Devin wins, there's a precedent for a third fight. And like I told you in my previous video, they're on an even playing field now, so I think he's going to. I think he's going to outpoint Ryan.
He's gonna get his revenge.